Welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast, your home for all stuff related to your favorite things in entertainment. Now, here are your hosts.
You're not serving him, are you? You're hunting him.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Stuff and Things Podcast, Star Wars edition. We're talking Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 5. I am Sam. Joining me to discuss the show, it's my partner in crime, my fellow Jedi Knight, it's Stefan.
I prefer to be more of a Padawan, I'll be honest. I still have a lot to learn.
Still have a lot to learn. Like Anakin. Anakin still has a lot to learn.
Exactly.
Like,
who to trust?
I'm going to say straight off the bat. I mean, sex is good, but this episode was special. Straight off the bat.
How smug were you? Come on, how smug were you watching this? At just how many things we have predicted in the first four episodes?
There are levels of smug, I think, in the world. There's kind of like, I called that right, and that's a level of smug. I think there's a kind of like fist pumping, like, come on, I got this, yes, I nailed this. And then there's somewhere where I was, as I basically moonwalked around my living room, like, called it. And on a few things as well, which I was really, really happy about. We got to see a flashback with Anakin in Obi-Wan.
Tick. Yep.
Which literally went straight in. We got the Part 5, Episode 5 similarities.
Tick.
Tick. And we got to see the Reva backstory was basically exactly as we'd predicted.
Tick. Yep.
So yeah, it's very rare.
And
yeah,
the Inquisitor Reva was never on Darth Vader's side. She was hunting him the whole time.
That's what I just said.
Yeah,
we got the backstory correct, and obviously the Grand Inquisitor still being alive, which I think everyone
another
knew.
Tick as well. So we are like on fire on this podcast.
Yeah, we are Anakin on Mustafar.
Being left to die on fire. We are that hot at the moment.
We are. So yeah, patting ourselves on the back quite a lot there. I'm giving no
predictions for the last episode because I don't want to.
No, none at all. I don't know. I've got some fun ones we'll come to at the end, but. First of all, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who continues to get in touch with us. The Star Wars shows appear to be the most interacted we've had for quite some time in terms of people actually messaging in and emailing in.
Yep.
What's funny, and I find this funny about social media in general, I've noticed a trend where people would quite happily jump on comments of posts in the past and like give their thoughts and things. I've noticed that trend seems to have stopped. I think people generally get quite hostile in comments sometimes or are afraid of trolling or people disagreeing with them.
Yep.
So now we don't see that really. Like I'll put a post out like, hey, do you want to discuss this episode? Let us know. Nothing. Zero interactions. But then we get close to like 100 emails.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's... I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that's just like a change in times kind of thing? Like people would rather come direct than sort of put it into a public forum?
I don't know. Is it people don't like to be kind of showing up if they put it in a public forum and then people go, no, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, people probably don't like being told they're wrong much. But then you go onto Twitter and everyone's happy to tell you you're wrong. So I don't know. Yeah,
well that's true, but that's Twitter for you. Yeah, the Twitterverse is a unkind place, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me start with just a few messages we've had from people who were keen to sort of be read out, if you don't mind.
Of course.
First one is a lady called Sophie who's in LA. That's glamorous.
Nice, yeah.
Or maybe not. Tell me, Sophie, is it glamorous? Are you in the glamorous part of LA or not? Let us know. Sophie says, hey, Sam and Stefan, and she spelled your name right.
Legend.
By the way, which is rare. Hey, Sam and Stefan, really enjoying your Obi-Wan Kenobi shows. I'm a massive Star Wars fan, absolutely loving them so far, and really glad to hear other people enjoying them too. Can't wait to hear what you guys think about Part 5. Personally, it's my favourite one so far. It's a nice message.
Nice, okay, yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
That's good.
And yeah, I think each episode, week on week, has been my favourite. Like, episode 1 is amazing, 2, great, 3, oh, it's my new favourite, 4, my new favourite, 5,
oh,
this is the
better.
best.
Yeah.
So far, all going well.
Yep.
The next one is from Tobias. Tobias is in Turkey.
Ooh.
He doesn't say whereabouts, but hey, Tobias, thank you for listening. Tobias says, really enjoying listening to your show. The Obi-Wan Kenobi series, I think, is really great so far. I am worried about how they're going to tie things in. I hope they don't make it cheesy.
I know you have a fear on that, don't you?
Yeah, a little bit. I think there are ways you can do it which would be quite simplistic and a kind of, I think the audience could just go, okay, all right, fair enough. all right, we're done.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do have a fear of it being something kind of naff. But then again, it's just naff to me. Other people might be fine with it. Like my idea, others might think is naff. So it's very subjective. But yeah, it is a little bit of a fear of mine. But I did think in this episode, we got some interaction and we got some really, really clever writing around the Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, which I'm going to come on to. But I loved it. It's like a real subplot to this episode, which after watching it twice, I made various notes. The next one, this person's not given a name. You should put Jedi Master Sifo-Dyas. And by the way, I know how to spell Sifo-Dyas, and I know how to say it. This person spelt it phonetically for me.
Legend.
However, yes, smart ass. Jedi Master Sifo-Dyas says, loving the show, guys. You two rock. And didn't really need to read that one out. There wasn't a lot of insight.
No.
It needed to be said.
The fact a Jedi Master said that means
exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
And they understand rocks because they move them around a lot.
Exactly.
Okay, now we're going to go to this one. This one's from Neil in London. Neil in London says, not quite sure if you guys are watching the same show as me. I think it's absolute tat. The original trilogy is being destroyed by Disney, and so many happy clapper fans like yourselves just seem to be happy to let that happen. This is not Star Wars for me. Now that is, now I've read that one out because that one is echoed quite a lot. There's about 10 to 15 very, very similar messages to that. And so to address that, I'm not really sure. I mean,
I'm taking a minute. Yeah.
I mean, we can go on the offensive and just sort of say that's crap and basically tell you all the reasons why I think that's crap.
Yeah. But thank you to listening to these two happy clappers talking crap anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the main thing, or my main takeaway, is not everything is going to be for everybody.
No.
You know, so if you're a massive fan of the original trilogy films, but then you watch the prequels, didn't really like them, the sequels didn't really like them, and stuff like that, then you're still a Star Wars fan. You're still a fan of those 3 Star Wars films. Because you don't like everything that comes out in the Star Wars universe doesn't necessarily diminish your fandom, but I do think that there is a certain toxic element, and I'm not accusing anyone who's emailed in of this, but where you have a set idea of what Star Wars is, and anything outside of that, in your opinion, is crap. Yeah, okay, that is your opinion, and everyone can have that, and that's fine, but the toxicity towards like the actors and the characters who are trying to demonstrate something else, trying to give something else, trying to let other people who perhaps didn't feel represented is a good word in an initial Star Wars universe now seeing it. And you know, there are a lot of very, very funny jokes about Star Wars. You know, if anyone watches the Family Guy Star Wars specials, which George Lucas approved, by the way, there's 2 running jokes in that, which is Princess Leia referring to the fact that she's clearly the only woman in the galaxy, because she is literally the only female character with any kind of lines or any kind of story in those original films. And also, you get another one with Lando Calrissian's clearly the only black guy in the galaxy. And, you get that. So that's the original trilogy films. Now, Star Wars, they worked to address that, and it was addressed. So in the prequels and things like that, they have brought these new characters in. They've added characters. They've diversified the way Star Wars looks.
Yeah.
If your issue is that, because a fair few of someone described this series as woke nonsense.
Oh, my least favourite word in the entire galaxy.
But I'm like genuinely, like, there are some things, and I will say this: there are some things I look at in properties, and we talk about a lot of stuff in the podcast. I look at some things and I go, "Oh wow, they've shoehorned that character in. That doesn't really work." You know, I wish they wouldn't do that. You know, if you're going to write a trans character, a character of colour, anything like that, make it a character worthwhile. You know, make this a character that's there for a reason, not just, oh no, we need to hit a quota, because that doesn't serve anyone any good at all. And so there are shows like that. In this, I literally am struggling to see a woke agenda. Like, I thought to myself, well, right, now I'm really going to analyse that. What have I missed? Where have I gone? And so I sort of doubled down, and I actually replied to one of the comments. I said, can you clarify for me why you feel this is woke? Because like I'm not seeing it, and that's not me arguing with you. This is just me, like, I don't quite see what you're seeing.
Yeah.
Would you like to try and guess what the reply was?
Oh, no, I don't, because I made the mistake of going on Twitter the other day and looking at stuff, and no.
Okay.
I don't even want to guess what people say anymore.
I wanted to watch this show to watch Obi-Wan look over Luke, but because of the woke agenda, they've had to make it all about a girl.
Oh, dear God.
So I never replied to that.
Oh, dear God.
I just left that.
Sorry, so because the show is not following the direct line that person wanted to watch, therefore it must be a woke agenda.
Yeah, and also it's the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and he's already in it. And I'm like, I don't know what you're watching.
Where did I put that tin hat? Where did I put it?
Yeah.
It's here somewhere.
So, look, that's it. I wanted to air this. I wanted to address it. It's done. It's out there. I want to say a massive thank you to everybody who messages in. Look, whether you agree with us or disagree with us, I always like the interaction. I will say that I think there's an element of, if you watched, Star Wars is now 9 Skywalker films, 3 additional films, and about 4 different series.
Yeah.
If out of all of that, you like Return of the Jedi, you're probably not a Star Wars fan, you're just a fan of that film. And you need to reframe yourself as that.
Yeah.
We move on. So one of the other things is, a lot of people said to me that they loved us talking about the obvious similarities between every part so far with the episodes that Obi-Wan Kenobi featured in.
Yep.
So part 5, episode 5, I think everyone possibly would have spotted the similarities. Did you spot them when you were watching?
No.
Oh, really?
No, I must be honest. When I'm watching this show, I am so kind of engrossed in what is happening.
Yeah.
That I then talk to you afterwards and go, oh, no, you're right. Do you know what? I did see that. Nope, you're right. Yeah. That did happen. But I get so engrossed in kind of watching it. I'm like, this is awesome. And then you tell me, like, did you notice when that happened? And I'm like, I did notice when it happened. Did my brain click to what it was? No, it didn't, but I noticed it.
Well, I mean, and don't get me wrong, there are some people who do analysis videos and stuff like that on YouTube and things, and they go into some serious detail.
Yeah.
I'm giving you broad brushstrokes of what I saw. Now, in episode 5, the Empire Strikes Back, the key theme is that a rebel base is being attacked by Darth Vader and the Imperial forces. This is recurring here in part 5. There is a base, people trying to escape the base, whilst the Empire are launching a siege. So that is a similarity straight away. But there was also a scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, just needed a touch of snow, and we were there. Vader in Empire Strikes Back storms through the base and arrives at the hangar just as the Millennium Falcon launches.
Yeah.
Now, we get to see a far more vicious version of that scene here, where he storms through, sees one ship powering up, and literally destroys it with the Force.
Yeah, now,
and
the
you
Force
see
is
the other
strong
one
with
escape.
this one. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I mean, we get to see Vader in this series full-on rage monster. He is next level. And one of the things in this episode which I enjoyed, and I'm going to talk about it now, is Obi-Wan is back. This is no longer Ben. And the reason why I'm saying that is because we get to see this amazing flashback scene, which is Obi-Wan and Anakin training with lightsabers.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan, in this training montage, if you like, this training sequence, which, by the way, was just such a great lightsaber duel. It was just kind of like, oh, thank you. I needed to see that.
When the episode
That was so
started
good.
and it's young Anakin on the screen, I was there like, yes, this is it. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I
didn't
everyone's
even
been
care
kinda
what
like-
happened next. We had a young Anakin,
No.
and then, I thought you weren't turning up, Master. And I'm like, interaction with
No.
Obi-Wan, and then the lightsabers. I was like,
yeah. We get the big hair Obi-Wan. We got the Padawan braid
Yes.
on Anakin, and we got the two of them training with lightsabers. So this is Attack of the Clones era Anakin
yeah,
and Obi-Wan. And like I said, this scene is amazing, but this scene kind of plays out a while over the episode. Do you think this is Darth Vader thinking about this? Do you think this is Obi-Wan thinking about this? Or are they both thinking about it? Because going into the flashback and out of the flashback every time alternates between the two of them. So if the screen's on Vader and it goes into it...
I think it's a memory between the two of them. You know how like they were interacting with each other in the Force?
Yeah.
I think it's one of those, they're kind of like sharing the memory between them using the Force.
Oh, right, okay.
If that makes sense.
All right, well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense, yeah, just I hadn't thought of it like that, because like on the screen you see like Vader, it goes into it, then it comes out as Obi-Wan, and vice versa. If it's Obi-Wan, it goes into it, comes back out as Vader.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it could make sense they're both seeing the same thing, but what I find interesting is Obi-Wan basically draws on this as how he is going to deal with Anakin.
Yeah.
And he uses this memory, this kind of realization that Anakin fights... I can't remember the line exactly, but Obi-Wan's basically saying to him, like, don't overdo it. You know, your need for victory is blinding you.
Yeah.
And that line is perfect. Because that's Vader. Like, Obi-Wan calls every play he makes, like, he'll attack. He won't, he doesn't want a siege. He'll just attack because he's got no patience.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, the no patience line was brilliant because it's like, yup.
Yeah, and that's it. He goes for him. And Obi-Wan uses all of that. He uses all of the tools that he has to basically manipulate him. And this is the point I mentioned earlier on, which I think is brilliant writing because I think it ties beautifully to Episode 4 A New Hope. Because at the end of this scene, when Vader's looking and Obi-Wan has escaped, Vader's still the apprentice. Obi-Wan is still the master. He has schooled him again.
Yes.
Just like he did in that saber duel in their memory. He has once again outfought him and has left him there as a rage monster. Now, knowing that Vader has been like showing off all of his power, just absolute might and going for it, when you go to Episode 4, that's not what Vader does. Episode 4 version of Vader is reserved. He's patient. He waits for Obi-Wan Kenobi to come to him. He plants a tracker. He has learnt. He has learnt his lesson. And the line in Episode 4, when I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master, suddenly has even more meaning.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion.
Yeah, no.
I think the
right.
way they've written it makes that line... Because when the film was originally made, the line made sense because of the backstory, which George Lucas knew and no one else did. But now,
Yep.
I think in writing this show, you can now understand the way they've written the show anyway, makes it canonizes it. It brings it in perfectly, in my opinion, to we're seeing the evolution of Vader. So by the time these two meet again in A New Hope, Vader's learnt his lesson of, I can't defeat Obi-Wan with raw power. I've never been able to defeat him with raw power, so therefore I'll be patient. I will allow it to come to me. I will do this, I will do that.
Playing him at his own game. Yeah.
Basically, yeah, he says it. Now I'm the master. And he does win that fight. I mean, Obi-Wan lets him, but he does, in essence, as far as he's concerned, win that fight. So, that to me was huge. When I watched this episode, I walked away from it, and my feeling around that was like, well done. You know, you've absolutely nailed that, which was great. I'm gonna go through a few character things. So I want to start by talking about Tala.
No.
Now my note here is Tala, unhappy smiley, and then but a good death.
Yeah. I liked
Tala
her character.
That was the thing I liked about her character, was the idea it's given us again that everyone in the Imperial Army isn't a devout Imperial. You know, they are, for whatever reason, part of that, with maybe not really fully realising what that is.
They're like the extreme version of, I don't like my job, but it pays the bills, so I've got to turn up.
To an extent, maybe, yeah.
This is my job. I don't agree with it. I don't like it, but hey, pays the bills, so, you know, Emperor's going to do what the Emperor's going to do.
Yeah, I think her. I think the scenes with her, even in this episode, but before this episode, where she talks about, you know, I was sent to do this, and I was told it was to do with this, and it wasn't. It was just a massacre. It was just basically she realised it was evil. You know, she realised, you know, there are certain things to keep law and order. You understand this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
But then there's literally slaughtering civilians, and that's what the Empire is. And it's like the minute I realised that's what the Empire is, I wanted no part of it.
Yeah, I'm out.
So I like the fact that we get to see that. We get to see that interest in development, and also it's going to go to show, I think, towards the Rebel Alliance, you know, just how many Rebel spies are going to be built into the Empire.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, they talk about, you know, we lost so many Bothan spies to get these plans. You know, so many times they reference that, and I think it's I think in this series Andor, which is like the prequel series to Rogue One, I think we may well get to see a lot of that. I think, anyway.
The spies inside the Empire and Imperial bases, what they're doing, yeah.
And people who are basically realising, holy crap, this is bad. This isn't the Republic, you know. I was part of a Republic unit that's now part of the Imperial Guard, and yeah, this isn't good. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. The other thing about Tala, like I said, is a good death. I like it when characters, if they've got a limited arc, sometimes their death can feel meaningless, or their death can feel like, oh, easy come, easy go. Yeah. With this one, I did feel the moment. I did kind of, oh no, you know, it's sad. And also the droid getting wiped out. The droid had been a badass.
Yeah.
I do, again, have to question the Stormtrooper's ability to hit things, though, because that was a big-ass droid.
Yeah.
And it took like 30 of them firing continuously for nearly 10 minutes before any of them hit it.
Yeah, we've mentioned the fact clone troopers, very, very good. Stormtroopers, very cheap.
Yeah, I mean, clone troopers, you know, literally trained from birth. Stormtroopers are conscripts given a gun and a plastic suit of armor and said, go fight.
Yeah.
I think
hold a gun?
I would love...
Brilliant.
I would very much love if Obi-Wan Kenobi addresses that, but it probably won't, because of course in episode 4 he refers to the Stormtroopers as being accurate, which a lot of people are still kind of like, really?
Yeah.
Really? And I've always kind of headcanoned that as his belief of Stormtroopers will be the clone troopers. So in his mind, they are bloody accurate. You know,
they are well trained from a young age.
They were great, yeah. So when he sees that, he's like, oh no, these are Imperials, but he doesn't quite realise that the clones have gone and it's all now conscripts. But I mean, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if we just get a line of like where he turns it into sarcasm. I don't know. But yeah, like, ooh, look how accurate they are. Ooh. The fake Jedi's back.
Yes.
I can never remember his name. You're on IMDb. What's his name?
The fake Jedi. This is the problem I have. This episode, They haven't actually updated many of the names, so I'm going to go back an episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I have like the top 6 people's names and no one else's, and I'm like, oh, brilliant. Okay, wait there. Let me pop back to Let me pop back to part 4, and I will tell you his name is.
Was he in?
Not in that episode. Not in that episode. Part 3.
No, I mean he's definitely in 2.
His name is. Oh, come on!
People are screaming it at us right now.
His name is Part 2. Oh, really? Well. Hajar Estri. Hajar. Yeah.
I think that's right. Yeah. He is back. I had that run-in with the Inquisitor, so I'm hunted now. I kind of feel what it's like to be in a real Jedi. I feel like Obi-Wan's just giving him a bit of a side-eye at that point. Like, really, you know what it's like. But yeah, and he's like, oh, plus plenty of money-making opportunities. It's like, right, okay, there you are. You're a shit. Fair enough. All right, but at least I know what you are.
Yeah.
So it's fun having him back, and he becomes a babysitter for Leia.
And he's really happy about it as well.
He's so happy. Like, Obi-Wan, I'm not a babysitter. You are now, kid.
You're also not a Jedi, so, you know.
We get to see evil Lola, as I'm calling her, do some sabotage on the base to shut the hangar doors.
So,
now,
with Lola...
I've watched this a second time, so I now know the answer to this.
That's good. No, before we go into this one...
if you're about to make the point...
I'm not. I'm going the complete other way. Obviously, you messaged me, and I'm sure most people watching this and listening to this podcast have already clicked this. But you messaged me about the importance of the naming of the droid.
Yes, I did, yeah.
And I hadn't clicked it. So go on, tell everyone, because I hadn't clicked it.
Oh, okay. So basically, there's a few things in this which have been loving kind of references to the original trilogy and the original cast. And Carrie Fisher, the lady who played Princess Leia, famously and brilliantly, obviously sadly no longer with us, when she was a child, she had a pet bird. And that pet bird was called Lola. And that's why young Princess Leia has the droid called Lola.
A flying droid called Lola. I thought that was like Dusty Room moment.
Yeah, it's lovely.
That's a real nice one.
Yeah, it is really nice. And it's funny because I saw it and I was kind of like, oh, that seems odd. And then I saw that it was actually confirmed. So yeah, it was Yeah, that is a nice thing. It's simple as well.
That wasn't me criticising how Lola can open doors by herself. That was me talking about how the naming thing is really quite sweet. There we go.
Yeah, watch it again. There's a gap. It flies straight through. So
the door opens. But anyway, okay, that's fine. It goes through a gap. We're going to go through a gap.
It does. So Lola does commit some sabotage. The sabotage seals the hangar door.
Evil Lola.
Evil Lola does that.
We can tell it's evil Lola because it has a red eye, just to make sure we're all aware.
Right? Everyone needs to be fully aware. Evil Lola right now. Now, with that happening, evil Lola's done that and is hanging around out there, and everyone's running around. Oh no, they're coming! They're going to kill us! We need to open this. We need someone to crawl up in that. I'm too big to get in there. And Leia, once again, demonstrating that she's a leader already.
Get me a ladder.
Get me a ladder. And the guy's like, look, kid.
It's not playtime. Shut up, kid.
Yeah, look, kid, it's not playtime. And Obi-Wan's like, no, get her a ladder. You trust me. You trust her. Get on with it.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love. Is it Rokan? I think his name is just there. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Are you serious? This 10-year-old girl's going to try and save all of us. Now, I love it
Yep.
so much because the thing about this kid, me and you talked about it, you're on that neat line between precocious and annoying and very over the top, and she is nailed. This kid and the writing have nailed how I would imagine a young Princess Leia to be. Because
Yes.
at 19 years old, being rescued from the Death Star, she's having a go at Han Solo for the rescue, taking on decisions herself, blasting a hole in things, jumping in, like, come on, into the garbage chute, flyboy.
Yeah.
She takes charge. At 19, she is not taking any crap.
Nope.
And it's because from the age of 10, she's been kidnapped, interrogated by Inquisitors. She's been dragged, hunted by the Empire.
Yep.
This kid is awesome and is just confident and is just... And the funny thing is, it's like, we know that in young... You remember Anakin at that age. We saw Anakin at this age.
Yeah.
And he had, even though he was a slave on Tatooine, he had a confidence about him in everything he did. Fixing things. That was what he loved to do. I can fix anything.
Yeah.
His ability and his instincts were so much faster. And that's because of how strong he was with the Force. Qui-Gon picked up on it straight away.
Yep.
It's like, oh, you must have Jedi-like reflexes. Says to his mother, if he'd been born, in the inner planets, he'd have been identified early and, the Jedi would have trained him.
Yeah.
Leia
Although
and Luke,
that line
probably.
itself
I know
now-
we've not seen Luke yet.
Yeah. That line from Qui-Gon about the whole, if he'd been born in the inner rim,
Yeah.
we would have stolen him
Yeah.
as a young child and trained him already.
Yeah,
like
the
line,
Jedi taking, the Jedi taking kids is a thing. That's a whole
it's
other
one of
thing.
those things in it now. Like some of
Yeah.
these lines we hear and we're like, that's a lot more
Yeah.
sinister than we realised.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah, families complain religious cult steals their child. Yeah,
Yeah.
basically. Yes.
if he'd been born in the inner room, we would have
but like
stolen
I said-
him years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Why are you crying? I'm just taking your son away and leaving you here on a sandbowl. Jeez, get over
Yes.
it. So yeah, I mean, there are definitely different ways you can look at these things, but focusing on the point I was making,
Yep.
we see Anakin at that age, and now we see Leia at this age.
Yeah.
I think it's the strength with the Force that has given her that confidence. Instincts and everything that she's got going on. It's brilliant. I loved it. And her get me a ladder. Just like,
It's something that's
Yeah, I loved
never
it.
really massively touched upon. Is the fact that obviously in the films, Luke has the Force, he trains to become a Jedi.
yeah.
Leia is his sister, so therefore there must be some Force within her. But it's never
Yeah.
really touched upon how much or what.
No, I mean in the sequels they do it.
Yeah.
In the original trilogy, they leave that alone to focus on Luke being the Jedi and basically her being the love interest for Han Solo.
Yeah.
I think that storytelling of the 70s and 80s.
Yep.
And then in the more recent films, they tried to correct it, which a lot of people, of course, hated. Which I do. The thing is, I do get it. I think the problem is when you've got a character set on a path and then you try to demonstrate something else, people are going to be like, oh, that doesn't feel right. That's not the Princess Leia I know, or General Leia.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do get why people reacted that way to it, but they did try and correct it. And they did in the novels, which some of them, most of them are not canon anymore, but they talked about how Luke and Leia would train together.
Yeah.
And obviously the part of the story which they did keep was that she felt the pull of the dark side. And as soon as she felt that, just put the saber down and went, nope.
I'm good. Yeah.
Nope, not. Oh no, we got a bit of a family thing there. I'm not touching that.
Yes.
But also the whole Jedi attachment thing. She wanted to be with Han. She wanted to have a family.
Yeah.
It's a very different idea to Luke, who basically followed the kind of full-on monk version.
Yeah.
Although there are again some novels where Luke got married, but we'll
If
leave
they
that.
ever do a Star Wars version of the Marvel What If, Obi-Wan finds Leia instead of Luke and it goes the other way, that could be awesome.
Yeah, we did an actual series of what if scenarios on our TikTok account. There's about 25 on there, which are kind of fun. If anyone wants to check them out, go to our TikTok account, Stuff and Things Podcast. There's plenty on there. There's lots of fun content. A lot of it jokes, but a lot of it's very informative as well. So there you go.
Yeah, nice plug.
That was the plug.
Subtle.
Yeah, yeah. Clang. Yeah. So Leia finds evil Lola. Evil Lola like attacks her at one point. It's like, dude, what are you doing? And there's a restraining bolt. Nice reference. Gets rid of that. And Lola's like, oh, whoa, yeah.
Yeah, my bad.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. And then Happy Lola again helps Leia fix the hangar. So that's one little plot line done. We talked about how the attack on the base led to Tala basically ending her life, which was incredibly sad. But that beginning of that attack is that you've got like a blast door.
Yeah.
And the stormtroopers are using a heavy weapon to try and weaken the blast door. And Obi-Wan wants to buy everyone time. So he sends a message out that he wants to talk to the Inquisitor.
Yes.
They both go to the door.
This conversation is amazing.
And we then have a conversation where basically, again, now earlier on, episode 2, when she is hunting Obi-Wan, she is sensing his fear. She is sensing what's going on in his head. She says about Anakin being alive, and Obi-Wan freaks out. She is completely in control. Like, he is Ben. He's not Obi-Wan Kenobi anymore. Yeah. He's Ben, and he is tried to shut himself off from the Force, and she's reading him like a book.
Yeah.
When they interact this time, I think he is now in touch.
This is Ben who's now the master. Yeah.
This is Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is a master, a Jedi master dealing with a failed Padawan right here.
Yeah, pretty much.
He basically, you see him close his eyes with his hand on the door, and when he opens his eyes, he's read her like a book. He's kind of like, I know. And he manipulates the hell out of her.
Doesn't he just?
Because he gets her to basically, as soon as he realizes who she is, he's like, how do you know it's Anakin? And I love the fact this is addressed, by the way, because that was killing me. It's like, no way would Vader allow her to live knowing. Like, no chance would he allow that. And it's just that it's addressed because, like, how would you know who it is? You were there. You were a youngling. And then we get the flashback again of Order 66. So, just very quickly, why do they want to torture us with this? Why do we keep getting these Order 66? I mean, actually watching Anakin march down a corridor slaughtering younglings. We had that scene in episode 3. It was dark. None of us needed to see something like that again. And this time, we actually get to see him doing it.
Yep.
Why? Why do they keep doing
I
this to
think
us?
it's because people still genuinely love Anakin Skywalker, and they're trying to be like, no, look, he's bad. He is bad.
Yeah.
Because, like, I watched the flashback scene between Obi-Wan and Anakin. And, like, it's so strange because Darth Vader, so when I was younger and I watched 4, 5 and 6, Darth Vader was like the big baddie. You know, he could suck the air out the room. This guy was like huge monster of a bad guy. And then I watched 1, 2 and 3 and I'm like, oh, it's just Annie. It's Anakin.
Yeah.
You know, and you go from being scared of Darth Vader to kind of feeling sorry for this young kid that was so in love with Padme that he got manipulated by the Emperor, and he only turns to the dark side because he's promised all these things by the Emperor, and then it all kind of goes wrong for him, and you kind of end up getting this real like empathy for him. And you can't have empathy for the big monster bad guy.
Yeah.
And I think that's really... still why like the Order 66 stuff is so difficult for everyone to watch, because it's like, but it's Annie. Annie can't do that, you know. Stop showing us him being bad. He's not bad, really. He's just misunderstood.
Well, see, the thing is me and you could probably do a Star Wars show and literally debate that point.
Yeah.
Over him being manipulated. Is he fully evil? Is he fully good? Absolutely not. Is there a conflict? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember what was in his head when he did all of that. It's like, this is the only way I can save the woman I love.
Yeah, this is how I save Padme and my children. Yeah.
His mother had died, And basically, he was led to believe that was on him. You know, the whole manipulation thing is, oh, you know, if only you'd been strong enough. You know, maybe, you know, and he says it like, oh, I wasn't strong enough. I wasn't able to save you, Mum, but I will be. And then he just manipulated the whole way along. So to the point that when he does fall to the dark side, I mean, I said this to you. I watch episode 3 and I'm still like, nope, make better choices. Cut his freaking head off.
Yeah.
Don't do it this time. Yeah. So, I mean, you gotta think that that's good storytelling in a film when even after watching it 5 to 10 times, you're still rooting for it to go a different way.
Yeah. Push him out the window. Push him out the window.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, just cut his head off. Yeah, like, Mace Windu. Mace, if I help you in this moment, can I break a Jedi rule, get married, have a family? Oddly specific, Anakin, but okay, yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, chop his freaking head off, Mace.
Yeah. Let's just say I happened to meet a princess and wanted to settle down.
Yeah, could I forgo being a Jedi Master, stay a Jedi Knight, but get married and have kids? Do you know what, Anakin? Yeah, on this occasion I'll let you off. Brilliant. Okay, just cut the guy's head off. He's the Emperor. What? Yeah. And also, could I get the Jedi Council to give a bit of medical attention? Apparently she's going to have a rough childbirth. Yeah, okay, again, oddly specific, but okay. Yeah. It's like, anyway, enough of my stupid jokes. The interaction at the door, you're not serving him, you're hunting him, which is the audio I clipped on our beginning.
What a line.
That line, oh, that was chills, because not only had we kind of the poster theory, which I can't take credit for, but we did pick up on.
No, take credit. You take credit. You told me about it. Take credit.
Absolutely loved that.
Yeah.
I thought that was so good, because the reason why it was so good is because the posters were out well before the series. So that means they basically gave that to us. They basically showed us all from the start. We had the opening sequence in episode 1 of a youngling running. Everything tied together. It was Reva. Now, what I want to put to you is there's this scene here, and then there's another scene when Obi-Wan surrenders to catch everyone off guard, and again has an interaction with Reva again and says, like, I've surrendered. You're not bringing him to me. I'm bringing him to you.
Yes.
And she kind of looks at him and he goes,
yeah.
And she's like, I won't be able to. And he's like, his focus will be on me.
Yeah.
Like, he is fully on me. And Reva's like, okay, all right. And then sends him back with a couple of inept guards knowing he's going to escape.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, lock him up in there with 2 of you rather than out here with 50 of us. So, yeah, she kind of goes with it. But this, to me, was the master manipulation. Because when he walks out to surrender, he hands his lightsaber and a blaster over. And he says, you can't go out and fight them with no weapons. He's like, there are other ways to fight.
Yeah, there are other weapons to use to win a fight or something. Yeah. I'm like, when he said, so the funny thing is, like, so we've just obviously spoken about poor Anakin and how he was manipulated by the dark side. And then we watch Obi-Wan Kenobi, who is basically, you know, the beacon of light and the good guy, completely manipulate Reva to do his bidding for him. It's like, so Obi-Wan doesn't want to kill Anakin himself. However, you really do want to. So I'm going to use that to my advantage.
Here's the thing. Like, he basically uses her to escape. He uses her to make sure that potentially she might have killed Vader. I don't think in a million years he thought she could. Yeah. Maybe she'd get lucky, but very unlikely, as we then see. Yeah. Very mismatched. But the idea being that he just used her to save all those other lives. Now, the Jedi were all about, saving lives. And there's a line in the flashback, Anakin, when a Jedi fights, he's thinking about the life he's saving, not trying to take life.
Yep.
And Anakin replies, that's not how you win a fight.
Yeah.
I'm trying to win here. And he just uses that. Obi-Wan just uses that need for victory, that need to win the fight, completely against him, and then manipulates Reva. So the manipulation of Reva, I'm really on the fence about this. I'm really kind of like, dude, that's not the Jedi way. But then at the same time, she's an evil shit.
Oh,
she has been straight up murdering people for a long time.
I think Obi-Wan knows that she is past redemption. Like, she has done too much to be redeemed. Therefore,
I agree.
Her one life is worth more. The lives he is saving is worth more than hers, as she cannot be redeemed, whereas these people can. And that is how I think Obi-Wan is my beacon of light and good guy.
She is basically a fallen Jedi.
Yeah.
She has fallen to the dark side. And he is making the call to sacrifice her to save 30 to 40, 50 innocent people. Yeah. He is making the call a Jedi would make. Let's be honest with you. And I do, like I said, I am on the fence about it simply because I feel like, wow, could you not have turned her back? Could she not have been a ally? But I think you also have to give the time. You know, Vader's literally on his way. There's a whole company of Imperial soldiers there.
They are blasting their way through that door.
Yeah. Do you have time to go, come on, put down the red saber, I'll get you a nice green one? No. Yeah. He doesn't have time for that. So he has to take her. He has to use what weapons he has.
Yes.
And he basically turns her into a weapon. And Vader says that himself.
He was wise.
Obi-Wan was wise, yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
I mean, just what a moment.
There's two lines that Vader uses. And it's the first one was that he was wise to use you against me. And it was like, he knew exactly what happened. Well, And that alone must have really eaten at Anakin, because he's like, damn, he played me and it worked. Damn it.
Yeah.
And the other one was, did you not think I saw you, youngling? And it's like, Vader
man,
knew the whole time.
That was next level. See that there for me, the next level part of that is, again, what you touched on. Everyone likes to separate Anakin and Vader. Everyone likes to go, Anakin was a really great guy, a great Jedi, and he descended into Vader and he became bad, but we don't like to blur the line.
Yeah.
Here, we are literally getting Anakin refer to her as a youngling.
Yeah.
You think I don't know who you are? I mean, he's known the whole time.
Yeah.
He's been able to sense it, and he is just used. And the Grand Inquisitor makes his return.
Yeah, he does.
He is not there. Everyone. The funny thing is, people who really knew that character, that species, were like, a gut? No, because he's got like 3 stomachs. Everyone was like, that's weird. That doesn't make sense. And also, canon-wise, he appears in other stuff later on. But him just walking back out was like, yep, there he is. Yeah. He's, the Grand Inquisitor again, in air quotes.
Now, what made me laugh, there's a line he uses about how revenge is a great way of keeping alive, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I'm still watching the way through the Clone Wars. And there's almost an identical line has just been used by one of Count Dooku's ex-assassins.
Yeah.
And she's left for dead, and she's like, revenge is a great way to make you stay alive. And I'm like, I heard that. I've heard that before.
Yeah, it's a very... would that be Ventress?
That's the one, yes.
Yeah.
So when he said the line, and then that night I heard
live
it.
Action.
Yeah, she's a badass character.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's great. I mean, the line's brilliant and it works, but the funny thing is, I think it serves 2 purposes here. One, it's for him, pointing out that, revenge is a dish best served cold, and it kept me alive because I got my own back. 3 purposes, because also they kept her around. They knew what she was, they knew why she was there, but they used her rage to hunt Kenobi.
Yeah. And they knew what she had done as well, because if the Grand Inquisitor's there, then obviously Anakin / Vader knows that she was the one that's...
Yeah.
So it's like, whoa.
Oh yeah, they have completely manipulated her. We talk about Obi-Wan manipulating her. She has been manipulated by both sides now.
Yep.
And this brings me to the 3rd point about that line. She is not dead.
No.
They leave her in the dirt to die, to bleed out. But, you got to remember that lightsaber wounds cauterize.
That's what I was going to say to you.
She isn't going to bleed out.
Yeah.
So, if she doesn't get medical attention, she's dead. But I bet there's a Bacta tank there, because they put Obi-Wan in it at one point.
Yep.
And she crawls across the dirt to find a communicator that had been dropped by the fake Jedi, you jackass.
Yeah.
to find a message that Bail Organa has sent to Obi-Wan about, if I don't hear from you, I'm going to go to Tatooine to look after the boy.
Owen's going to need help.
We cannot let Vader find out about the children.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, wow. Revenge is a great motivator to stay alive.
Yep.
She has been manipulated by Vader and wants revenge. She wants revenge on Obi-Wan now. What better revenge on both than to go and kill the child of Vader that is supposedly being protected by Obi-Wan?
Season 2 is going to be off the hook.
Do you think we're going to get to the end and we're going to get like a Book of Boba Fett style, these characters will return December 23 or something, and everyone's going to freak out? Or do you think it's done? Do you think we're just getting teased a little bit by the actors just to keep everyone guessing?
I don't know. I think... So, I was messaging you after I watched the show. And we were talking about... Like, we were joking about what Season 2 is going to be and stuff. But I think the fact that the episodes at the moment are currently half the length of our podcast is... And we were promised an hour each episode, and we got 34 minutes or something this week.
Yeah, now, it has been addressed. The showrunner has said the original concept were 6 one-hour episodes, but due to COVID and problems and costs, they've done the best they can.
See, for me now, I understand the whole cost thing and all that, but I also feel like we are now far enough past COVID to stop using that for why you've cut out half an hour of screen time. If you've got the cast all together and they're all there at the same time, an extra half an hour of filming is not going to matter. The costs and other things, fine. Like, I'm fine with them saying, look, no, to be fair, to make all the sets and to shoot it all was bloody expensive. This is a limited run show. Yeah. We couldn't afford the budget. I'd be like, you're Disney, of course you can afford it, but whatever. Stop using COVID as an excuse for this now. You're just getting lazy.
Yeah. Oh, wow, okay.
Like, but unless the finale is an hour to an hour and a half long, like, I have some worries because we were, like I say, we were messaging each other. And I was like, there's an awful lot for them to kind of sum up in the last episode. And yet at the same time, there's nothing left for them to sum up in the last episode. Like, the last episode could literally be Obi-Wan dropping Leia off back home and going, right, I'm off to go look after Luke now, and leaving. And that would everything tied up. Because episode 4, A New Hope, starts with Obi-Wan has been there looking. So technically, that is all that needs to happen. You know, he's dropped Leia off home. Look, she's fine. I rescued her. I'm off to go look after Luke. And then done. or you get the other side of it is he goes to drop off Leia. He's not there because he's already gone to Tatooine. He realises the transmitter's gone. Oh my God, they're after Luke. Then Leia and Obi-Wan race back to Tatooine. They get to Luke. We're going to have the interaction between Leia being introduced as Lola because we can't let the kids know who they really are. And then all of a sudden you've got masses to kind of explain and wrap up. And I'm like, it's either not enough to make a full episode out of, or way too much to make one episode out of.
Well, it could be another 30-minute episode and be very basic, like you said. Leia being dropped back to Alderaan, and him racing back to cut off Reva before she gets to Luke.
And it could literally be that simple, and all of a sudden it's half hour and we're like, okay, we're done. But then, the other option is, that could be, like, we've had the Leia series. The next season could be the Luke season, because Luke is just like his dad and a little shit, and he keeps going off and doing stupid things.
It could be. See, the thing is there is scope there. There is still. This is 10 years past episode 3, which means we are 9 years away from episode 4. So there is space. There is a gap that so much could happen. I like the idea, and it's something that came to my mind, is that Reva is going to go for Luke, but I like the idea that if we were to get a season 2, the season 2 would actually be Reva set something in place that is going to let Vader know he has children, and Obi-Wan has to stop that at all costs. Has to somehow prevent the message getting to him. That to me would work, but there's loads of options, loads of scenarios. I really enjoyed the series today.
If that's how season 2 went, they could do it very similar to like the Mandalorian thing, where Obi-Wan needs to get from point A of I'm on Tatooine to point B, which is stopping that getting to Vader.
Yeah, and you just see him like complete tasks along the way.
Yeah, trying to get help.
Cameo central.
Yeah, that could work really well.
To be honest with you, there's loads of options with it, and I think you would then also be able to intersperse it with Hayden Christensen as Anakin in flashback, rather than so much as Vader, which would allow them both to return, and would also, you could intersperse it with Obi-Wan more, so Ben becoming Obi-Wan more and more every week. Because, of course, the thing that's not happened yet, and we all thought would be a major part, would be him hearing Qui-Gon's voice. The first couple of episodes, he keeps asking for Qui-Gon, keeps asking for him, and he's not had a reply yet. But we know by the time episode 4 comes around, he has mastered to become one with the Force.
Yep.
Which is what he was supposed to be doing. Some training I have for you.
Yes.
So the final scene I just want to discuss then is when he's on the ship. The guy says our hyperdrive, is down, and his whole focus shifts. Like he can feel a disturbance in the Force, and it's Reva finding out about Luke and Leia.
Yeah.
I loved the tonal part of that. There's a moment in episode 4 when Alderaan's destroyed, and you see Ben just stop in his tracks, like, oh wow, like something's happened.
Like a
so there is a
voices
disturbance in the
screaming at once
Force.
and then silence.
Mate, yes, love that, yeah. And he feels that. And again, this is Ben, this is Obi-Wan. This is back to Obi-Wan. He is now in tune with the Force, and something in that moment, he says, like, something's not right.
Yeah.
Like, I can feel like there's a problem. There is a problem coming. Yeah. And he is absolutely right, there is. So, I can't wait for the finale, part 6. I, like you, really hope that on the day it comes out, and all the credits come up, and I hit the pause button to check the runtime, I'm hoping to see 58 minutes at least. Yeah. I'm hoping to get a lot more. Every time I've hit pause since episode 1, I've been a bit, oh.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the fact that, I'm still grovelling to get back in the good books of Lucasfilm, I would be really upset at the runtimes. However, I am, still grovelling to the wonderful people at Lucasfilm. I do love you all. Yeah. I love you all very, very, very much.
Yeah.
And the content, so again, we were talking the content that I think personally, I know the toxic fans haven't, but I think the content has been so good that
agreed.
I'm disappointed the episodes aren't longer. However, I would rather 35-minute episodes of this amazing quality than 60 minutes with 20 minutes worth of filler.
That's valid. Yeah.
If they're going to keep the content brilliant like it is, then okay, fine. I would rather have an hour episodes, but 35 minutes of brilliant content is better than 35 minutes of brilliant content and 20 minutes of, oh look, we're flying a spaceship.
Garbage. Yeah. But that is our show. I want to say a massive thank you to everybody for listening and continuing to interact with us. We have just one more to talk about, which is very sad, and that will be next week. The show airs Wednesday. We will be with you on the following day, the Thursday.
Yes.
Thank you all for listening. We'll be back next week.
May the Force be with you. Always.
Thank you for listening to the Stuff and Things podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Things podcast to join in our conversation every week.
was wise to use you against me.